Legislative Auditor's Report. Ms. Dow, would you please give that?
Okay. As many of you know at this point, there was a Legislative Auditor's Compliance Report prepared on the board. Pull this out, make sure I have it correct. The main issues with regard to the report involve the accrual of leave, both annual and sick, by the employee, as well as the merit raise as provided by law also for the employee. The basis, and yes, all employees for regard to the leave, not to the merit. The merit raise provision is an executive order, excuse me, issued by Governor Jindal. The leave provisions are on executive orders that go back to at least Mike Foster, as far as we could tell. With regard to this, the report came down, and I believe everyone has been provided a copy of the report and our answers.
The board members, yes.
Yes, including Ms. Jacobs. Did she
I
get a
believe
copy?
Ms. Jacobs was involved in that report, and then that email that went out on March the 5th.
Okay. So you're all aware of the issues with regard to that. The recommendations from the Legislative Auditor's Office was that we would recover any funds that were inappropriately paid by the board. At the time the report was actually released to the public, we had gotten a response from the Governor's Office with regard to leave that was contrary to what the Legislative Auditor had said. As a matter of fact, the General Counsel to Governor Jindal wrote an email to the Legislative Auditor telling their interpretation of the executive orders was incorrect, and that we were not covered on the executive orders with regard to leave, that was only within the distinct office of the governor and had nothing to do with the boards and commissions that had been moved into the office of the governor. The Legislative Auditor's Office chose not to list their interpretation of the of the executive order in their report, and issued the report without comment from the governor. Since that report was issued, the governor's office has issued a revised executive order which clarifies the issue of who is included or not included and what leave is available or not available. And to make a long story short, the new executive order, which is retroactive, as far back as they can go to 2008, and then they say that it shouldn't affect any interpretation prior to that, but that's what they feel the interpretation is that Sandy is eligible to accrue both annual and sick leave. She cannot accrue compensatory leave, which is not available to those who are executive directors of a board or commission. But other than that, then what she's been doing is perfectly fine. She can continue to do so. With regard to the merit raise, that remains, that EO was not amended, but the opinion of the legislative auditor and the governor's office, as I understand it, is that it still applies to merit raises only, that the executive order specifically excludes any raises given for promotions or extra duty or other reasons which may be determined by the appointing authority. So as a result, if it's not a merit raise, it's not covered. And that's also in the interpretation from the governor in the direct email to the legislative auditor's office. So, upshot of this is the board has before it the legislative report with certain recommendations. We have a different opinion from the governor's office, which is now, at least part of which is now being codified into a revised executive order and is before the board as to what, if anything, they wish to do at this point with regard to those recommendations.
Well, why don't we just, the raise that was given at the last time to Ms. Edmonds, why don't we make that a merit raise?
No,
No.
we can't make it a merit raise.
Right.
It
It
wasn't.
wasn't a merit raise.
It was
Right.
not a merit raise. As a matter of fact, the consensus, the interpretation by the Legislative Auditor's Office is that merit raises are unconstitutional because they are giving money to someone for no apparent
So
job.
but you can't give them an actual raise.
Yes.
Well, I
Which-
thought that she got an actual raise. I mean, I think
She did.
You know, and I think that should continue.
Question on
She
the
did.
legislative auditor's report. There were 5 findings in there.
Yes.
What does that do to the 5 findings that we were instructed to do?
Let me see if I can get the list, because I started to
I
pull
mean,
it.
the statute of limitations is sitting here counting on some of it.
I've got it right here, Anna, if you don't have it.
Yeah, the,
Here's the recommendations page.
thank you.
Seeing as matter of housekeeping next time, we have something like that we're going to discuss.
We need copies
Get
of
us all
this.
copies.
I'm sorry, I didn't because it's 25 pages long.
I don't care if it's
Okay, that's
125.
Okay.
You know, we want copies for the board members at
The
least.
Somebody gave us
legislators
the
can vote
website.
themselves a big raise, like they did the last time. You know, we considered.
Didn't you?
What I'm getting at,
You're very
Anna,
competent, and I think you deserve everything you get.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
Well-
kept everybody informed.
what I'm getting at, Anna, statute of limitations involves some of those
Yes, you have
orders.
3 years from the date of leaving
We have orders to
recover.
do certain things in that legislative audit. And
Yes.
we faced with statute of limitations on part of it, correct?
That's correct.
So when does the statute of limitations run out?
3 years from the date any of our former employees left. For
So one
example-
is out with statute of limitations and one's still in, is that correct?
Well, Jim Steele is out because he left
I
more than 3
understand.
years ago. Ms. Wilkes had left in August of 2009, which is within the 3-year period.
So we,
But let me go through the list, and let's take each one, if that's what you want to do individually. Number 1 recommendation is executive orders are reviewed prior to any employment actions taken by either board. And I think that's no problem. I think we agreed to do that. As a matter of fact, we had reviewed it, but their interpretation was substantially different from the governor's office. Number 2, only eligible employees are allowed to accrue and use leave time. Now that we have it clarified that she can use annual leave and sick leave, then we have done so. Now, she cannot accrue compensatory leave because of her position. 3, employees maintain records of time and attendance. I believe that you are now keeping those, and had in the past, but there was some that just simply were not kept. So we're going to continue that because you cannot accrue leave without actually keeping records of when you were there or not there, and which board you were working for. Supervisors review and approve employee attendance and leave records. I believe that the chairman, as her supervisor, should be doing that and filing on those.
And I am.
Okay, and the final one is the one you're referring to, is the board seek repayment for accounts paid which may have violated state law and/or executive orders. So those are the fifth one. The fifth one, again, we've now determined, at least within Jindal's from 2008 forward, which would include the date that Ms. Wilkes left.
I'm trying to be
that-
fair, that's why I
Right,
want
yes.
this discussed.
Okay. That.
Because we're looking at a lot of money for her.
Well, and this is the question, you know, as I understand it, the governor's office and Division of Administration, who actually defined this as far as statute is concerned, takes the position that there was never anything that barred us from having our employees accrue leave. And we've gotten that in writing from various agencies. But the legislative auditor has a completely different approach.
What's going to happen with this audit report?
It's filed and
That's what I'm getting at. Is it going to the Attorney General?
No. No, they did not, I believe.
They did not send it. They did not send it for review to the State Attorney General.
Let's see, normally in these, they will make a statement in them that they are providing that to local DAs, attorney generals, or to other parties, and I do not believe.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I don't want to wake up here one day and we got legal action against a
I
former
didn't-
employee.
No, I don't think that's going to be an issue because the governor's office has now gotten involved and said
Is he
no.
going to issue an amended report?
He already did.
He did.
He can't issue he can't amend the legislative auditor's report, but he
I'm
amended
not,
his
I'm
executive
asking,
order.
is the legislative auditor going to issue an amended
No.
report?
As a matter of fact, the statement, as I understand it from the legislative auditor, was that they were not going to take the governor's interpretation of the governor's own order.
Well, then what do we do to be in
I don't think
compliance
we have
with
a choice.
legislative audit?
We do, we are in the division with the governor's office, the governor determines what we do, and we've been told that we cannot do that.
Right. You
Cannot
have
do
to
what?
follow the governor.
We cannot recover funds that were paid, that were accrued legally.
The governor is saying that, well, what do
Yeah.
we do about the legislative auditor's orders?
You know, this is, I've asked
The
both.
politics.
I'm not
know.
caring about the politics, I'm just saying, what do we do? It's
I don't know that we can
damn we do it,
anything.
damn we don't. Now,
Right.
which one is it?
We report to the governor,
I
not to
see
the
you, Freddie.
legislature. They're a different branch of government.
All I want is Sherry Wilkes to have a fair shake,
Yeah,
or this board do what it was instructed to do. One or the other. That's all I'm asking.
It was filed in there too, that she had, Sherry and Sandy both.
Had to pay back money.
No, but they both questioned and were told in writing that they,
I understand
it was
that.
correct. And the governor is standing behind that is correct. The governor is saying they were both, Sherry was right, Sandy was right.
All I'm trying to do, Anna, is get this board by an ethics deal, that's all.
I see you, Freddie. I'm
Well,
just gonna
and-
let this discussion, then I'm gonna let the board discuss, then I'll go to the public.
I don't think there's going to be an ethics issue because we've got it in writing from the governor's office that this was done correctly.
Okay.
So the auditors aren't requiring us to collect the money?
No, they said,
They made recommendation.
right, that's just their recommendation. They're not saying you have
Is that
to.
what you're saying?
Could you please wait?
You don't
Well,
want that-
usually when you have a legislative auditor recommendation,
Yeah.
it must go to legal counsel. If it's a state board of any type, whether it's school board,
Right.
police, jury, whatever it is, affairs funds, it's been, they call it misappropriated
Right.
by inactions of a
Right.
governing body, it must be recollected.
Right, but this one and I'm aware of that, and I've seen those which said, we have provided this, because there may be a criminal act involved, we provide this to the district attorney's office, or the local.
All I'm
parish.
trying to do is cover this board and cover these employees. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be fair and objective.
This was not sent to any criminal prosecution authority.
That's better news if I don't have to be paid back.
Got all that?
I got all that. Any board discussion before I go to the public? Anybody else? All right, Freddie, you were first. You wanna?
I just want a copy of that revised salary. It's on his
It's on
his
the
website.
website.
It's on the website?
It's on, yes, it was posted Friday afternoon.
On his website.
On-
The governor's
On the
website.
governor's website.
It's on the government, okay.
The governor's website. It's on the
It's
governor,
Executive Order BJ 2012-2.
on Jindal's website.
And 24 pages.
Correct. All right, any other comments?
You done?
You done, let's go.